Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the last lesson in Unit 1 of AP Human Geography. I am Mr. Latimer,
I'm Dr. Scoggins.
and today we will learn about Skills 1.7. But before we do that, Dr. Scoggins, tell them about today's sponsor.
Today's lesson is brought to you by Epsom salt. Epsom salt, it does things.
You have a blister, put your feet in it.
You just put your foot
And
in the salt.
Well, in a bathtub, but yeah.
Well, you could just use the salt and it will.
Do things.
I don't really understand it, but it
I'm
does things. But Epsom salt.
Yeah.
So, anyway, today's lesson again is Skill 1.7. And by the end of it, you'll be able to
describe different ways that geographers define regions.
So, last time we talked about regions.
Yes.
Now we're going to get into specific detail.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay, so what is a region? You're going to hear that word a lot this year. A region is an area of land that has common characteristics. So what I mean by that is you can say that there are lots of places that have things in common, and you can group them based on what they have in common. So we can group an entire area of land together and call it a region based on what language, if they all speak the same language. Like this map you see in the top right. That is the region of North Africa. It's also considered MENA, the Middle East, North Africa region. One of the common features they have together is that Arabic is a common language you will find spoken there. It's what's called a lingua franca. It's a language. People can speak multiple languages, but they can all speak that language together.
Yep.
Yeah. You can also do this with religion. Same thing. MENA, it's a Muslim region. Development, we can compare a developed part of the world to a non-developed part of the world. Economic activity, you're going to learn about that at the end of the year. We can distinguish places based on what people are doing. Like in North America, you have a lot of service-based industries and economies. In Africa, you have a lot of primary, like farming and mining activities. So we can group regions based on their activities. Government, same thing. For example, we can do this bottom left picture. That is what's called Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe was communist. It's not anymore. Communist is the opposite of capitalist, which is what Western Europe was. So we were able to divide Europe into two regions based on their government systems. And then geographic features as well. We can divide, Africa is basically divided into two parts. You have North Africa, and then you have Sub-Saharan Africa, this green area down here. What divides them is the Sahara Desert. Because in North Africa, you have like Muslims and Arabs. In the South, you have a mixture of Christians, native beliefs, and Muslims. But it's also more tropical in the South. Okay.
So, getting into specific detail, we're going to talk about three types of regions. The first is going to be your formal, or on the AP exam, it could be known as the
uniform
region. I like formal better, but whatever. These maps are official places that we can identify on a map, and also things that are official that we all recognize. Okay, the United States. You can find it on a map. Everyone can recognize that the United States is a
country.
It's a country, yeah. Right? So this is a formal region. These have borders that are easily identified. So countries, continents, international organizations like the European Union, NAFTA. Places with common culture, these like religion and language. Latin America is a region made up of countries that speak Spanish and practice Catholicism. This is a formal region. Places with common geographic features, like we just talked about. Sub-Saharan Africa is part of Africa that is south of the Saharan Desert. This is formal. Again, things that are official, you can find on a map, has defined borders, and something that we all can agree that exists.
And a hint when you guys are going through your practice questions, anytime you have a question asking for a formal region, find an answer choice with the word uniform in it. Yes. Okay, not uniformity, uniform.
Just uniform.
Yeah, it's a weird hint that always works.
It works 90%.
Yeah.
99%.
I'd say so.
100%.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, the second type of region is called a functional region, also sometimes called nodal because the AP exam hates you and they like to use weird words. Functional regions are weird. You're never going to see a sign that says, "Congratulations, you've made it inside this functional region."
Did you just say congratulations?
I guess I did. It's built around a specific point or a node.
A node.
Okay. Well, you might be wondering, okay, what's a node? A node is just a place that has like an influence around it. You might be wondering, okay, what do I mean by influence? Okay, look at the picture on the right. That's Pequod's Pizza in Chicago.
Mm.
Pequod's Pizza delivers to parts of Chicago, but not all parts of Chicago. So they have a map showing how far Pequod's Pizza can be delivered.
Pequod's Pizza is not going to deliver 47 miles
They-
to the west.
They will not.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's going to be your specific point.
So that's the point or the node, and it's showing you the range, the area of influence Pequod's Pizza has. If you are outside of Pequod's Pizza, you are outside of the functional region. The map on the left is a map showing you the range of radio signals from different radio stations. So it shows you if you're inside of one of these regions, you will you'll be influenced by its radio. You'll just be able to listen to its music or whatever.
NPR.
NPR is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
The whole map is NPR.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I will say though, let's go back to Pequod's Pizza.
Yes.
Suppose there's like a Domino's next door.
Yes.
Would a Domino's go further than a Pequod's Pizza?
I don't think so, because you would have multiple Domino's, and so each Domino's would have its own area, its own functional region.
Mm. So you're telling me that businesses will determine where to place their business
Based on other businesses.
So the specific point or
yeah.
node from one another.
Okay, well, it depends. Like you'll notice that certain competitors will have places near each other. Like if you look for a Pizza Hut, a Domino's won't be too far away. That's because they're competing for the same functional region.
But you're not going to see two Domino's next to each other.
No, but you will see multiple Starbuckses, and that's just because
in the same area.
Yeah, you will find like 3 on the same street.
That's ridiculous.
That's just because I don't know. I really have no explanation.
Starbucks doesn't care.
Yeah, they're soulless and they employ half the country.
We better stop.
Okay.
No, we're talking about Google at that point.
Okay, that's true.
We better be quiet.
Okay,
they're listening.
They're listening. All right.
So perceptual or
this is the last type of region.
Vernacular regions. Vernacular.
Yes.
These are areas with no borders.
Yes.
People disagree on where it exists. Does it exist at all? Some people will say no. You on the AP exam and other exams, they do a lot of things with like Sun Belt, Rust Belts.
Yes, those are the 2 most popular ones. Rust Belt's not on there, but it's for the most part inside the Frost Belt. If you're looking on that map.
These regions are created based on people's belief or the feelings in the area. So Sun Belt, why would it be called a Sun Belt in the South?
Because it's hot and sunny.
Why would it be called Frost Belt?
Because it's cold.
What about Jello Belt?
It's because Mormons can't eat much snacks other than Jello.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You can't be serious.
No, I'm dead serious. They can't. That's why they drink tea. Sorry, they don't drink tea. They drink milk because there's no caffeine in milk. There's a lot of snacks. The Mormons have a very specific diet. I'm not kidding. I'm not going to lie on the internet. Or do I?
No, nobody lies on the internet.
All right. If you might be wondering, Kate, what do I mean by you can disagree on where these borders are? The bottom right picture shows you there are 5 definitions of what the South is. Every one of us, if you, I guess, pay attention, you know what the South is. At least you have a mental idea of what the South is. Now, my definition of the South and Dr. Scoggins' definition of the South are different based on our own personal perceptions and experiences. And we don't have to even stick with these definitions. Like, I think part of Texas is in the South.
But not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing. And Texas, and even some cities inside of those regions inside are not even South. Like Houston and Dallas, the areas surrounding those cities, those are Southern.
But El Paso.
El Paso is west.
It's west, right?
Yeah.
The Panhandle is west.
Yes.
No, I agree with this.
Yes. The Rio Grande Valley definitely is southwest. It has a different flair to it. It's not south. So like Austin and San Antonio. South. That is not, they are not what they're not.
You know,
I don't actually know. I don't think they're south.
Austin and San Antonio?
San Antonio, I'd say, is southwest. I would say Austin is uniquely Texan. Like Texas is kind of its own thing.
I don't know. When you get into the specific details of what constitutes southernness,
Yeah.
okay, southernness.
Okay.
A lot of people assume Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia,
Yeah.
but nobody ever cares about Florida, even though it's south.
Okay. If you look at this map, you even see that sometimes Florida, I would say northern Florida is southern, but the southern part of Florida is just transplanted northerners.
But when you think of south as a direction,
Yes.
sure, Texas is south.
Yes.
But I think what we're getting hung up on is this concept of the deep south, which is going to be your Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia.
Yeah.
These are going to be like
So
the
okay.
deep south.
So let's look for some. If we're gonna do some uniformity here, what are some traits that you would say are southern for us to say we could agree on what is south?
Sweet tea.
Okay, the use of sweet tea, yeah. So
and the more sweet, the more southern,
Yes.
which is disgusting.
yes, because you're drinking syrup at a certain point.
I mean, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
What else is southern?
Biscuits, NASCAR,
Biscuits and gravy.
biscuits and gravy. Let's see.
Southern.
Okay, there's southern values, like how you have people who are generally nicer to each other. Like I've heard from people who've come from California in the north that in the south we are more courteous drivers. We allow people in whenever you're like turning onto a street or something.
They call it on southern hospitality, but that's not true. That's not true. Again, a vernacular region. It could be true somewhere. Yeah, you're going to get that nice, good old boy that's, I like to be nice.
Yeah.
But, look, I grew up in East Texas.
Yeah.
Is that southern?
I think East Texas is south.
It's southern.
Yes.
Houston
and Dallas are not, though.
I think a lot of times people use also, what is that phrase that we're going to be bringing up when we talk about borders? Relic.
Yeah.
Relic boundaries. What constitutes the South is basically people are going to look at the
former Confederacy.
The Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
Right? In that case, Missouri is southern. Even though it's more Midwestern,
Yeah.
anyone who lives, I know people who live in various parts of Missouri, and they have a very Midwestern accent, which is not an accent at all.
Right.
It's the most bizarre thing in the world. But then you meet other people who are like, my name is Gregory,
Yeah. It's true.
But southernness. I like this idea, though. What constitutes northernness?
I guess a more urbanized, because the South is still relatively rural. You have a lot of rural communities that are really strong in terms of their identity.
What would an urban...
I guess in the North, there's more world cities. Because world cities kind of lack a unique geographic trait. But in the South, you go to Jackson, Mississippi, you are in the South. It is definitively hey, how you doing?
But the spirit of place, or what do we call it? There's two terms: the spirit of place, but there's also going to be
their sense of place, the cultural landscape.
So the sense of place, the spirit of place, however you want to define it.
Yeah.
You just said in Jackson, Mississippi, that's southern.
Yeah.
What made it southern? What is the feel?
It's the uniqueness you get when you're there. You feel you go to Memphis, Tennessee.
But you don't feel that in, let's say, Atlanta, Georgia.
Well,
it's very urban.
Atlanta, Georgia is a world city. It lacks. It used to be. It was basically the second largest city in the Confederacy, but it's now. It's definitely a world city. There's an airport there, major airports. There's a lot of international qualities there.
Would you say Houston is a southern feel?
Houston is not a southern. Houston and Dallas are both world cities.
So it can't have the identity of southernness.
Yes. I feel like the North has kind of taken the whole world city concept, and that's made it what's theirs. So, because the point is, vernacular perceived regions, you can argue about these things, like Dr. Scoggins and I just did. He and I each define the South differently. And I'm sure you have your own definition of the South, or the North, or the West. Or
these
whatever.
are all just perceptions.
Yeah, these are perceptions, or vernacular. Okay? These words mean the same thing. Okay? So, if you ever see two of them as an answer choice in the same question, then neither of them are right.
Yeah.
I've seen that before, that they're trying to trick you.
Trick you.
All right, y'all. That is it
Unit 1 is done.
And you just heard me say y'all, so you can tell them Southern.
Southern,
Yeah.
y'all,
Yeah.
gravy. We're done.
All right, well, that is it for Unit 1. And we'll catch you guys on Unit 2, which is about population and migration.